Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.
Hello, Merry Christmas. Welcome to my another tutorial around how to set up a Santa Sleigh flying across the sky. So here, essentially to set up this flying Santa Sleigh, you need obviously the deer, the Santa deer, and then you have Santa himself. You need a sledge. So you need these three items basically. All right. And then the way the tutorial goes is that the result will be simply what you see at the bottom part of the screen. Let me take away the overlay. All right, so we will try to simulate that. And if I okay, next step is let me just hide off the stage so that we focus on the actual animation and set up. All right. So I removed the stage and the decorations, and this is essentially what you will get in the tutorial file, a deer, Santa, and sleigh, and then the final solution on the animated flying sleigh. So to do this particular setup, the first thing we will do will be the deer, then we'll work on the Santa and then the sledge, and then put them together and make them fly. So that would be how the tutorial will go. I will now hide those parts that is not required for the beginning of the tutorial. We will just focus on the deer. All right, how to animate the deer. So the first thing we normally have to do is to separate the deer into parts on the left. Uh, I will switch on the overlay so you can see that I selected a deer. Okay, so this deer, uh, before I forget, just so make sure I switch on the screen key so that you can see what key I type. As I was saying, I essentially switch on the overlay so I can see that what I selected and all the other things. So this is the deer that I need to break it up into. I mean, the deer that you obtain normally comes in one solid mesh, and what you could do is that you can just simply tap in edit mode and do a mesh and separate by material. If you click that, you will come to this site where you will have the deer in separate parts, all right? And then what we will do next is we will put a standard armature of a horse actually, and put into this deer, and then we will animate the deer. Okay, when you separated the 3D object, like in the case of deer, you may not be getting exactly the way you needed it to do the animation. For example, the easy way to separate is by what we call the material, right? But your result is that because the bell and the little button around the collar is the same color, so they appear as one object. So the easy way out is simply do an edit and then select the bell. By the way, when you do that, make sure that you switch on the X-ray so that you won't miss selecting anything behind what you see. So I do a selection on a box. Okay, so this ensure that all the vertices are selected. After this, you can just simply go to mesh and separate by selection. So what now you have is that you have a bell as one separate object, and you have this dotted button on the collar that should be part of the collar. So I will join this button to the collar by selecting the collar and Control J, and this will join this little button around the collar. So now we have a bell, the collar, the gilder. Now the gilder and the bell are together. I think it's better to separate them out. For when you do rigid when you try to create a rig. So again, the same thing, but this time it's easier. Just tap again, select, in this case, the, the belt, and do a mesh separate. Okay, so now you have a belt and a gilder. Another thing is that you have this ring. This ring are all of the same material, so they're all put together. But I would think that this set of ring on the right should be part of the gilder, and this ring on the left should be part of the belt. So again, we will do a separation. Same thing. Select all the ring here. In this case, mesh separate by material. Sorry, by selection. Okay. So now you have the ring and the belt, and I think you should join it together. And the rings here again, we have the other rings here, and then the gilder, and you join the ring to the gilder, Control J. All right, so now you should only have a gilder, a belt. Let's rename them correctly. Belt, and this is the gilder. All right, the collar, the belt. Right, this should be the belt. All right. Another thing you observe that if I use a horse uh, armature, if you can see later on, I will add a horse armature. Sorry, this one here, the original one. You notice that it doesn't have anything to support a horn. In this case, the deer has a horn. And because horn are rigid, they're not supposed to be, bending and anything of that sort. It follows the head basically. So it's and now the deer itself and the horn are one object. So it and because they are the same material, the best way you can do is to cut the horn out from the body. So quickly we put into edit mode. So now you have a horn. I'm going to object mode and rename that as the horn. And this is their body, that's okay. And what about this part here? The top, which is this part here. And now we have the deer that we have duplicated. So I do a right click on the collection of the deer we duplicated, select object, and then GZ to move it down. All right. And we want to basically rig this part of the deer, and this one we just leave it there just to keep it, you know, as the original separated parts. So to rig the deer, you only rig the body first. So the rest of the other accessories, we'll leave it out. We just want the deer part. To speed up this tutorial, I redone the armature in the correct way. So what I will do now is so this is the original rig, and this is the other rig. All right. So I put them in pose mode. Why? Because the rig that I have already done, I put a different color. Okay, here we are. So this is the armature that you will get from Blender, and you can then adjust it to the way that I did it in which is shown in the red color. Uh, so essentially, you can see the thing I've done is that basically on the tail side, you need to keep two bone for rectify the work. That later on we will rectify it to a rig. So you can delete these three bone here. The other bone that you need is this bone here, because this deer have a little hump here. If you try to attach the body to the bone, it may miss out because it's too far away from the rest of the bone. So I have to adjust the bone upward like the way shown in the red color. So the red color is a place where you should move the bone upwards. The other part is the neck. The horse neck tend to be kind of going upward, so you have to bend it, as in this red color shows. Bend it and scale down it. And at the same time, we don't need this hair bone, so that can be removed because this deer have no hair. So with that said, I'm going back to object mode now. So this original armature, if you're done properly, you should be able to get the same result as I do here, which is the final adjustment I make. All right. The body and the bone, and then do a control P. You can do automate weight. This is to make sure that everything works. I mean, if you work before, then you can rectify it. So if I go into post mode, sorry, post mode is control uh, tab. You can test it out. That you can actually move the body and all that, right? The concept is that when you have adjusted all your bone, you should be able to attach the body to the bone, just like what I do by Control P, right? And then and set up with the automatic weighting. So I'm not going to do it here only because I already done it. And then rectify, create a rig, generate a rig, right? That's always what you do when you have. Let me try again. Okay. Once you've done all your adjustment, you should always remember to apply all transformation to the bone so that the bone is in this location. And then you create a rig by creating generate rig. Okay, sorry, I have already created the rig. So by creating that, you will create a rig from the armature, which is shown here. Now, as again, I already done the animation. So this rig that you created from the armature, you can then attach the body, click the body, and then click the rig, and then you can do Control P and with automatic weight. All right. But I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. Um, so next is that the I I will now position this rig in a standing position because I have already done the posting, meaning that I have redone all the necessary posts that help me to animate this deer. So I have a standing position. So I firstly go into pose mode, select all the bones in the rig, and then apply the standing position of the deer, which I have already done earlier on. All right. So this should be the normal standing position that you have first started with. So I'm going back to Control Tab to Object Mode. And at this point, how you're basically ready. Hold on. Before that, you need to attach all these other parts to the rig, right? As I said, the way you do it is you select all the bone. Other than that, the best thing is that you select the horn and attach it to the head. What I mean by that is that this horn should, if I select the horn and select the rig, I go into Control Tab Pose Mode and then select the head. This is the head. You can double check with the bone here. It's a head. This is the head. You just have to do a Control P and then attach the horn to the head. All right. I repeat again. Control P, select the bone. Oops. I have done it before, so I should not do again. But that's how you normally do it. You will do the bone and the head, and then you attach to it. The other thing to watch out is that you should attach your belt. So let me go back into tab mode. object mode, you can should attach the bell to the gilder by parenting Control P, and then you should select object mode, all right, so that the parent is the gilder. So once you've done the horn and the bell, where the horn parent to the head and the bell parent to the gilder, the other accessory gilder, collar, and bell, you can parent it directly to the to the rig by Control P, and then with automatic wait, then this all these parts will be animated with the rig. Finally, with this, you are ready to do the animation of a deer running. So again, I have prepared the necessary information. In this case, the posting. Um, I have a plane here, which I think we may not really need that, so I hide that. So this is a particular it's a cycle of how a deer would run. So what you do is that you will use the rig in pose mode and try to animate this posture by adjusting the rig. Again, this tutorial I won't really go through it, except that I can show you that when you do a pose, you can always save a pose into the pose library. But I've already done it, so I'm going to show you the pose library of the pose that I have already done according to the diagram. I call it run standing position to run 1, run 2, run 3, run 4, run 5. So let's see how that looks. I selected the rig, Control Tab, go into pose mode, select all the bones. I will now go into a pose library which I call deer pose. In the deer pose, I have the stand pose and the 5 run position that you can see in the diagram. I already done that. I just show you. If I apply the stand, this is where it is. If I apply the run one, so the run one now, I don't know whether you can see it clearly. This is based on my best adjustment. I mean, adjusting means you select a bone, you do sort of adjust it. So this was what I did, all right. Again, remember before you apply any of the pose that you save, which I did, you select all the bones. I will show you the next pose, which is the second one on the diagram, the second part. If I click apply the pose on this little icon, this is the second position. You can see the second, and if I click on the third, that is the third position, and I went to the fourth position. Okay, I think this a quick way of co com confirming your position, and then you can do a update to the one that was done previously. Okay, so with that said, this would be all the necessary position of how a deer run. Next is that you're going to combine all the poses together. Uh, okay, so I think you have got the standing to the run, all right? Obviously, this is stand to run. The cyclic should be run to run later on. But just to demonstrate, this is one action you can create. And you can then name, before you name any action, just test that it's working first. Something like this, all right? If you want to be sure that it's really working the way that you want it from run to run, you can do this way. Uh, Select only the run part, GD, and move it up to here. And then you can do a test run. That's how it looks like. All right, so that's basically running cyclic, but because you're running for a long distance, if you keep copying it, it's one way. But normally people will use the animation editor to do it in an easier way, which is easily duplicate. But again, I say you can always just copy those keyframe and repeat as many times as you want in terms of the deer running. But I will show you the other way. So deer run position. In fact, I've already done it here, but I can do again. All right, so this is my run. I will move the run in the non-linear animation editor and repeat this run for, let's say, 50, 30 times. So this deer will be running like 30 times. All right, so that's the deer running. And all right, so we have shown all the poses and how you use a pose to animate the running position of a deer. So the next part of tutorial is to look at the center. For center, now the one that we obtain is this center, right? Using the Mixamo motion, I think I'm not going to repeat that as it's covered in two of my tutorial already. I will point the link to that site, which you see on the screen. You can go there and see how you can load this particular object, which you have to save it as FBX format and load into the Mixamo site. And it will automatically rig the Santa Claus, and also then you can have motion that you can select. In this particular case, I have a motion that I selected that looks like this. If you do a play, you can see this is basically the motion from Mixamo that shows that Santa is like looking around downwards. I thought this action would be appropriate as if it's on the sleigh looking down from the sleigh, right? The only difference is that this motion center is a standing position. So what we really want is that we want center to do the same motion but sitting down. So how do we do that? This particular center uh, is with the Mixamo rig. This is the Mixamo rig, right? In order for you to have Santa sitting down and doing a motion, so so in this case you do not want Santa to move at all. So you should actually remove all the keyframe that is in the lower part of the body. Remove it and then manually adjust the Santa in the sitting position. So you have to select all this bone. You should use the graph editor. Make sure the view of selected curve keyframe is already enabled. So what you have now, if you can see it, is that I repeat again. I select this hip bone and all the leg bone. All right, and you can see all the keyframe of these bones are shown on the screen. The intention is that you want to remove all the keyframes of all these bones. So you just press an X and delete keyframe. So what happened now is that if I do a play, only the upper body motions still remain, but the lower part is just not moving at all. And this is okay with us because what we want to do is that we will reposition the lower body to be actually sitting. As you can see on the right hand side, the center, I have already done it. The center is the upper body was with the same motion, but the lower part of the body was in a sitting position. So to do in a sitting position is a normal way of doing rigging. You can select a bone, right? And then you can do R, Y, and adjust the leg. So once you are done that, again, if you do a play from the beginning, so you now have a center sitting down and doing its motion. So that covers center animation. The next is the sledge. Let's close center. For the sledge, there's nothing much to do other than the fact that we are just trying to make some enhancement. In my case, I'm trying to make this star shining. So just a matter of assigning to something that works. Yeah, this one here. Right. So basically, I just make this one shine. Now you can select all these other star and then click this one and do a Control L link material, and those star will light up. Either that's one way. Another way is that you could just copy, go into shading mode and copy this, select one of these and Control V, and voila. Okay. So this is just a quick way of using existing material but changing the node setup. You can light up the whole stage. The other thing that I did was basically to make some kind of a sparkles that fly off. You can see what I want to do was to add in all these sparkles, and that's again pretty simple because if you look at it, I just selected one of these object and then assign particle system and then select the one that I already prepared. In my case, about 50,000 in number, and select the aspect, which is the same one that I use for the star. All right. I think that's basically it. Hello. I didn't really use an object. So if I were to do this and run it, then you can see we'll have all these things flying, right? So if you want the sparkle to fly backwards, Shift S, cause select here, I wanted to add a fan actually. Just a wind, all right? This is a wind fan. By default, it's blowing upwards to Z direction. You just do a R, X9, R, X minus 90, all right? And make it maybe a little bit smaller. And let's test it out. Okay, so now you will have these sparkles going the other direction. So in a sense, this is all a simple enhancement we can do. Light up the sledge a little bit, add a fan, add a particle system with some particle that shines, and then you basically have the effect of flying sparkles from the end of the sled. So once that's done, okay, the last part will be, how I did the final stage, final preparation of the center stage and all. Okay, uh, so if you have a deer that is already animated to run, like earlier on we show you, we did that. Uh, we have center already animated with the sitting position, and then we have the slate uh, with a bit of enhancement with lights and particles flying on the back, right? So the next thing is thinking about how you can create this particular setup. For the reindeer, we we normally have an empty that kind of link the whole deer, you know. So this thing will can help to direct the movement of the reindeer, but on its own. So because at the moment the animation is on stand on the spot, running on the spot, not moving in any direction. So by putting all the accessories and the body to the empty, I can control the empty and move forward, sideward, and so on. All right. However, in the reindeer slate setup, there is six deer, right? And to animate it in a way by following a curve, especially that can guide it to a particular direction, I think it would be pair the deer together and make them run separately along the curve. So to do that, all you have to do is just duplicate the deer, duplicate it so that each deer, this is another one, will have its own empty like this one here. And you make them both parent to another empty because you want to have one empty to control two deer, right? So that's pairing two deer. After you duplicated the first deer and move it to the right, and then both empty parent to the this empty, you will have one pair of reindeer. So next you do is that you just have to duplicate this set of deer and make a second set of deer and repeat that for the third set of deer. So that way, uh, sorry, there's a light. So that way, you will now have three empty controlling three set of deer. Yeah. This one will control this one will control this one. And Santa should be parented to the sleigh, and you can have one empty to control. Oh, all right, not this one. It was this one. They control the sleigh and Santa. So you just parent all these objects to send to this particular empty. So in a sense, you now have four set of objects that need to run along a particular curve, right? But for easy positioning on that, I still want to have a final single empty that control all the object in terms of positioning them where I want in the scene. But for animation to run along the path that I have, which already set up, you can see this is a path I set up. Setting up a path is usually just using a vertex, single vertex, or using a Bezier curve to make it. But the final line have to be a curve, a Bezier curve, or whatever curve that you have. And make each of the empty set up with a constraint, a follow path constraint. Just set a follow path constraint and target it to the path. This is the path. The path name, the moment is called path reindeer, right? So if I click back to the parent of these two deer, first two deer, and so on, every one of these four empty that I just mentioned earlier on, they all, sorry, this one here, they all have a constraint called follow path to path reindeer. So they will all follow the reindeer. The other thing I do is that I wanted to control the speed of the running of the reindeer uh, to a different point of the curve. It goes slow or fast. So I use a fixed position, and with the fixed position and follow curve, and also the other thing is that the curve, I set up the path animation enable to 1000 frame, and my evaluation time should be set to 1 from the beginning. So normally that's the standard setup for any follow path animation, right? So for this particular empty, once, as I said, in the constraint, you have a fixed position set up. You need to make them run in such a way that they all follow the curve on its own. So it's so that it won't be like everyone turning at the same time, right? You will have the first pair turning first and second pair turn afterwards and so on. So this is the empty that control the sleigh, empty that controls the first set of deer, second set of deer, and third set of deer, the final sleigh. Each one have a follow path, and the offset factor are different in order for them to be aligned in this order. So I repeat again, the sleigh is 0 for the first one. The third sleigh should be 0.004 according to my adjustment. If I change this value, you can see that the deer is moving in different directions. So that turned out to be 004 was the best alignment in terms of how it looks in its where it should be. So once you have positioned the fourth set of objects with the right offset factor set up correctly, they are all nicely positioned here. I mean, the last step will simply be just running it. All right, I will run it in solid mode because that way it runs faster. Right. Okay, so the deer is running, and then I want you to observe. Oh, it's this part. Okay, let me go back a bit slower. Step. You can see that because I do that, the first set of deer will go up first, and second deer will now follow. Third set of deer follow up, and then the slate follow up. And the reason why each one of them start following the curve at different time is because of the offset factor that, and each one of them have its own empty to control it at different time of the curve path. I think this is not really new to many of you who have done moving objects along a path, right? As I've also done it in my previous tutorial, like the cowboy in the Old West, they all follow the same concept, except that this time we have four objects, three set of deers, and the sleigh set. They need to be controlled in a different sequence by using the offset factor to have that realistic timing of when they follow the curve movement and direction. Finally, in terms of camera, I think this is a different personal choice. I have a few camera here. Uh, if I select this camera, just to take a look what kind of looking, if I do control 0, this camera basically look at Santa. If I select another one here on the left, this is a little bit on the far side uh, of Santa. Another one here. This is a closer view on the left side of Santa Sleigh. It's really a preference if you want to have different. Sorry, this ground one, I think I have disabled it because I use it for this tutorial. But otherwise, these are the three key camera I use other than the ground, which looking at Santa Claus from the bottom part of the ground, as it goes up. So that's basically conclude how you can make a Santa Claus fly. I'm providing this entire tutorial file, so it's a running version, so you can actually see Santa Claus is running in motion, uh, and I also provided you all the original objects that you may want to try on your own and animate it on your own. I have also included the post library. It's just this is probably useful for people who may not like the way I do the post because I didn't do a very good post or the run post for the deer. So this part you may want to slightly fine tune it to make it more closer to the cycle of the cyclic run of a deer. Otherwise, I think from afar it looks quite okay. All right, may not be very realistic in terms of running movement, but I think it's pretty close. Hope you all enjoy the tutorial. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you for watching.